A dramatic resignation rocks Moscow. Foreign Minister Shevardnadze quits his post, warning the Soviet Congress not to give Mikhail Gorbachev the powers of a dictator. The Pentagon says U.S. air power will be ready to attack Iraqi forces by deadline day, January 15th, even if, as a top commander says, U.S. ground troops are not ready by then. The White House hails reported gains in the war on drugs. The new government study shows a sharp decline in casual drug use. Critics say the survey misses more addicts than it counts.
The Galileo spacecraft provides spectacular, first-time ever pictures of Earth, the blue planet, in motion, rotating on its axis. Here on Earth, there are no blue skies across the Rockies and the northern plains. The weather map shows high winds, bitter cold, and snow. Wind chill factors could plunge to 40 or to as much as 60 degrees below zero.
Soviet Foreign Minister Shevardnadze resigned in person this morning in a startling speech to the Soviet Congress. Jonathan Sanders joins us now with the latest from Moscow. Good morning, Jonathan.
Good morning, Vicki. Soviet Foreign Minister Edward Shevardnadze resigned this morning, stunning the Congress of People's Deputies. A spokesman for Soviet President Mikhail Gorbachev said it came as a complete surprise to Gorbachev and the whole ruling leadership of the Soviet Union. Shevardnadze told the deputies that he wanted them to consider the problems if they created a dictatorship in the Soviet Union, that if they created a dictatorship, there was no telling who would become dictator, and he pleaded with them. He pleaded with them not to vote additional powers to Soviet President Mikhail Gorbachev. Shevardnadze has served as foreign minister for almost all of Mikhail Gorbachev's time in power. The charming politician from Soviet Georgia acted as point man in developing new, better relations with the United States. He was in charge of Soviet foreign policy during its revolutionary change from Cold War confrontation to the politics of cooperation with the West. Gorbachev brought him from relative obscurity to Moscow because of his reputation for honesty and as an energetic reformer. Deputies say that this is a tremendous, tremendous loss, that Shevardnadze was a politician for all seasons, that he understood foreign policy and domestic policy. The Gorbachev spokesman said today after the speech that Shevardnadze will stay on until the Congress decides whether to accept his resignation or to appoint someone else in his place. Vicki?
Jonathan, can we take this at face value, or is there something behind this from Shevardnadze's point of view?
Well, there's several things behind it. The real cause, the proximate cause for his resignation has to do with the Persian Gulf. Shevardnadze said that he had been taking criticism, whether the Soviets were going to send troops there, from all kinds of deputies. He said he had made a statement that the Soviet Union never was going to send any kind of troops to the Middle East, and that the same people who had been criticizing him, personally insulting him for the Soviets' loss of Eastern Europe, were now attacking him on another foreign policy ground, and that no one, including Gorbachev, was really defending him. He also is very fearful that perhaps if Gorbachev goes out, voting additional powers to a Soviet office of president will create the grounds for a dictatorship. And Shevardnadze is a Georgian, and the Georgian Republic is talking about independence, and the conservatives are talking about cracking down on them. And this was a way of saying firmly and strongly that he was afraid of not what he calls conservatives, but reactionaries who seem to be taking over in the Soviet Union.
Thanks, Jonathan. Jonathan Sanders in Moscow. Charlie?
There are some very serious questions this morning about the combat readiness of American forces in the Persian Gulf. The uncertainty comes as the Pentagon's top leadership takes a first-hand look at Operation Desert Shield. Bill McLaughlin has more on that from Saudi Arabia. Good morning, Bill.
Good morning, Charles. Secretary Cheney and General Powell arrived here yesterday and immediately began a series of meetings that are continuing here today. They're spending about half their time with the troops, another half their time with the Saudi royal family, with Kuwaiti officials, with high-ranking generals. It's much more than just to show the flag out here. In part, it's a morale booster, although morale is pretty good. But what they're doing is trying to demonstrate that after the 15th of January, the United States will be prepared to use force, and a lot of it, to dislodge Iraq from Kuwait. And I guess now both Cheney and Powell have a certain amount of damage control to do, thanks to General Waller, whose comments may not have upset the troops in the field out here, but they've certainly seemed to have upset a lot of Bush administration officials, implying that the U.S. would not be ready for a major total strike, both land, sea, and air, on the 15th. Charles?
Bill, General Waller said that we should not initiate hostilities until we are ready, and he said we are not ready. What will we be ready to do by the 15th?
Well, of course, we'll certainly be ready to make a major airstrike, but beyond that, you have to ask yourself, what is General Waller really talking about? Politics is not neat. The military is, in a way, is paid to be compulsively neat, obsessively neat. They always want the I's dotted, the T's crossed. What does ready mean is another question. And perhaps most importantly, isn't it the job of the military and of the politicians, too, together, to try to befuddle and to confuse the enemy, to try to drive the enemy a little bit crazy? And wouldn't it be the worst possible thing on earth for a general, an American general, to let the Iraqis know that he is absolutely ready? So perhaps a lot of this is disinformation. It may be confusing to Washington, but hopefully it's also, from their point of view, confusing to Baghdad.
Yes, we may be a little befuddled and confused ourselves. Thank you very much, Bill. Bill McLaughlin in Saudi Arabia. Thank you.
In Washington, congressional Democrats are charging that a new government survey on drug use misses more addicts than it counts. The official report claims significant progress in the war on drugs. Though not all the news is good, White House reporter Randall Pinkston tells us the president is happy to accentuate the positive.
President Bush had nothing but praise for a new government report showing a broad-based decline in the use of illegal drugs.
The news we have today suggests that our hard work is paying off and that our national strategy is having an effect.
Health Secretary Louis Sullivan said teens were turning away from cocaine, 49% fewer users in 1990 than 2 years earlier. Overall drug use among all ages was down 11% over the same period. While pleased with the results, Sullivan was not ready to declare victory.
There still are millions of Americans trapped in the web of addiction, of poor health, violence, crime, and death.
One drug abuse expert says many of those people weren't counted in the report, an annual household survey on drugs, because they don't have homes.
We have large numbers of very seriously drug-impaired people in our prisons, among the homeless population, kids truant from schools, people who are mentally ill using drugs.
On the streets, police also know the war isn't over, but believe they are making progress.
I don't think we won the war. I don't think we're even close to winning the war at this point. But what we have made is some significant strides and made some significant progress.
Without discounting the progress, Secretary Sullivan is troubled by another trend in the report: continued high rates of frequent or intense cocaine use. More than 660,000 Americans use cocaine once a week. More than 330,000 use it once a day. Randall Pinkston, CBS News, the White House.
While America's manned space program has had more than its share of troubles in recent years, NASA has enjoyed spectacular success exploring our solar system with robots. They have romantic names like Voyager, Magellan, and Galileo. And as David Dow reports, they are giving us a whole new perspective on our own world.
Come along to a familiar planet and see it the way alien scientists might on their first flyby.
We would know it's made out of rock and iron. Most importantly, we'd know it's covered with a thin veneer of water and gases that indicate the possible presence of life and the types of conditions that would be capable of supporting life on the Earth.
In a sense, Earth the movie is the work of a visiting spaceship, the time-lapse photography of the spaceship Galileo, launched from the shuttle Atlantis more than a year ago. Galileo roared in from Venus the other day for the first of 2 close encounters with Earth, before soaring off to its final destination, the planet Jupiter. Its circuitous flight path is designed to build up momentum for the long journey. Galileo also photographed the moon, discovering remnants of volcanic activity 4 billion years ago, and confirming existence of an impact crater 1,200 miles in diameter. The projectile that created it staggers the imagination.
We're talking about something that probably approached 100 kilometers, 100 miles or so in diameter, basically. So, as they say, it's a big one. I mean, it's sort of like a small state coming through space, you know, and hitting...
Galileo also recorded the sounds of lightning on Earth. A shrill greeting from the placid-looking planet spinning in the darkness of space. David Dow, CBS News, at the Jet Propulsion Laboratory in Pasadena.
Turning from that to our very ordinary weather map. It is so cold across the Rockies and the northern plains this morning that the clouds on our picture, it's actually a satellite picture, actually do look different. Temperatures are well below zero, and it continues to snow across much of the area. Clouds are also gathering over the Southland, and it's raining over parts of the Southeast. Later today, blizzard conditions will continue across the Rockies. Howling winds and extreme cold will make it dangerous to be outside for very long. Snow and below zero temperatures will also be hitting the high plains. Rain will cover the Southeast, and then will move rapidly up the eastern seaboard. That's the national forecast. Now here's a look at your weather.
Good morning, I'm Nancy McCauley for Thursday, December the 20th. Our forecast includes partly sunny skies and breezy conditions, a high temperature of 44, and the wind from the southeast to south, 10 to 20 miles per hour.
And if you need proof, it is never too cold to snow. It is 30 below zero and snowing right now in Montana.
The CBS Morning News continues. Still ahead, Rita Braver on soft deals for drug lords. And in sports, Rock wrote on the running Rebels. On fire on the court, under fire off the court.
We bake pearls made of denture material in this blueberry pie to prove how powerfully Efferdent, America's leading denture cleanser, removes this tough stain, even in between. Efferdent, stronger than stains.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. Everyone's asleep. Shh, I know how to wake them up. Come on.
Mr. Mom. Happy holidays from Folgers.
The Remington microscreen shaves as close as a blade, or your money back. Hold it. The Remington microscreen is more than closeness. Listen. That powerful motor makes Remington a quick shave, and its two thin, flexible screens adjust for true comfort. The Remington microscreen, quick, comfortable, shaves as close as a blade, or your money back. Atta boy. That's Remington. Now, buy this Remington and get this hygienic clipper free.
The names, the choices, the conditions are perfect at MC Sporting Goods. Ultra-comfortable Rakeley boots are proven to be the world's best from start to finish. Rakeley, constantly extending the limits. Take the Swiss Challenge. For top fashions and truly functional ski wear, get Overmeyer. Ski wear from the heart of the mountains. See MC's great selection of Overmeyer today. Beat the cold with warm, comfortable gloves by Saranac. They're waterproof for function in fashion styling. Go all day in Saranac gloves. This winter, ski with the best. MC Sporting Goods.
Colombia is taking a new tack in its war on drugs, one that looks very much like a negotiated settlement with cocaine traffickers. Rita Braver reports the policy is getting its first test with the surrender of a top drug baron.
Fabio Ochoa's surrender signals a major change in Colombia's drug-fighting tactics. Officials there are no longer taking the U.S.-favored hard line. The Bush administration's highly vaunted agreement with Colombia to bring drug lords, including the 12 most wanted here, to stand trial has collapsed. Fugitives who turn themselves in and plead guilty to at least one charge will no longer face extradition to this country, and they can serve short jail terms in contrast to the life sentences they face here. The State Department was taking a wait-and-see stance.
The use of extradition is only one tool in the fight against drug trafficking. It was not meant to replace Colombia's own justice system. This is the policy of the Colombian government, as I've stated it, and we're obviously following the developments in this case with great interest.
Colombian officials deny they've adopted an appeasement policy, calling their decision rational. Drug lords have engaged in a campaign of murder, violence, and kidnapping in response to the U.S.-generated extradition policy. Many Colombians believe that if Ochoa is treated with dignity, other drug lords will also turn themselves in. But even if they do, it's still unclear whether they will continue to run their drug empires while spending relatively short stays in Colombian jails. Rita Braver, CBS News, Washington.
In sports, the defending NBA champs, the Detroit Pistons, have been in a terrible slump, but they put their old act together last night. Here's Rock Road. Good morning, Rock.
Morning, Charlie. Can't be great all the time, right? Detroit Pistons had lost 7 of 8 games going into last night's contest with the Chicago Bulls. Some of their fans had better luck, however. A guy preferring an in-person proposal instead of that scoreboard method. Joe Dumars scored 19 to lead the Pistons out of the doldrums and past the Bulls. Charles Barkley dented Boston for 35 points and 9 rebounds. But when he got his team close late in the game, guess who? Larry Bird was waiting with a three-pointer to help the Celtics improve to 20-4. The Spurs got so far in front of Denver last night, their starters set out the entire fourth quarter. Rookie Sean Higgins scoring 14 points in 19 minutes as San Antonio won its 6th, that is 7th in a row. The Cavs held the Lakers to their lowest point total in 30 years. The Suns beat the T-Wolves. The Bullets shot past the Pacers in overtime. It was the Nets over the Clippers, and the Knicks beat the Heat. In college ball, UNLV officials are expected to discuss today a new letter of inquiry from the NCAA detailing a series of alleged infractions dating back 3 years. So, of course, last night, UNLV unfurls their championship banner from the 1990 season. Princeton was in Las Vegas, and its ball control game kept the Tigers within 18-16 early, but UNLV's athleticism took over from there. The best team money can buy easily defeats the only top 25 team with no scholarship athletes. Meanwhile, number 5 UCLA took apart Pepperdine. Number 9 Duke handled Harvard. Number 14 Pittsburgh was a winner over Duquesne. And number 17 Georgia lost in triple overtime to Georgia Tech. Tech's Kenny Anderson played all 55 minutes in that ball game and scored a career-high 40 points. I'm Rock, and that's sports this morning. Vicki, Charlie?
Thanks, Rock.
Thank you.
In financial news this morning, the London stock market is sharply lower in early trading. The rally in the Tokyo stock market ran out of steam this morning. The Nikkei index fell 351 points. That is down nearly 1.5%. Wall Street begins the day right where it started out yesterday. The Dow Industrial Average opens at 2626 after closing with no change yesterday. The dollar is stronger this morning against most key currencies, and the price of gold this morning in London opened at $383 an ounce. That is down $3 from yesterday's closing price.
Still ahead on the CBS Morning News, MTV Iraqi style. Baghdad's home front propaganda in praise of Saddam Hussein.
The business portion of the CBS Morning News is sponsored by Ramada Hotels and Inns.
Come on. I know there's one. Ah, yes.
We're in luck, Mr. Cheney. We have one room left.
Thanks, Donna.
I hate to turn guests away, particularly our regulars. Sometimes they don't make reservations. Too busy. I can usually get them a room at the Holiday, but they have to pay more.
Room 312.
Maybe that's one reason we're full.
Ramada, 1-800-228-2828.
Yes,
Our guests are arriving. When will you be here?
almost finished.
Okay, but hurry.
That'll do it. Got the report done for the office.
The Tandy 1000 TL2. Powerful enough for business, affordable and easy enough for the whole family. Specially priced for Christmas. Save $200. Only at Radio Shack, America's technology store. Nobody compares for Christmas shopping.
You suffer from minor arthritis pain? Boy, I do. I'm Danny Thomas. I just found Arthritis Hot. I rub it in, it warms away the pain fast, and the relief lasts for hours. Arthritis Hot. Sure works for me.
I can't believe it. Oh, my God.
What do these people have in common? They're all millionaires in the Publishers Clearinghouse Sweepstakes. Now you can win $10 million January 25th if you enter the Publishers Clearinghouse Sweepstakes today.
Service Merchandise says, get it done in 91. The DP Ergometer Air Resistance Stepper, now just $239.92. It's the perfect mix between upper and lower body aerobics. DP's Ergometer Exercise Bike, now only $239.92. And staying fit is a walk in the park with DP's programmable Life Strider Treadmill, now just $599.96 at Service Merchandise.
Good morning, I'm Nancy McCauley for Thursday, December the 20th. Our forecast includes partly sunny skies and breezy conditions, a high temperature of 44, and the wind from the southeast to south, 10 to 20 miles per hour.
Here are this morning's top stories. The Soviet Foreign Minister, Shevardnadze, shocks the Soviet Congress by resigning his post. Shevardnadze warns the lawmakers that giving Mikhail Gorbachev broad new powers will lead to dictatorship. The differences between the United States and Iraq are many, and they stem from many things. The two countries clash over Kuwait, over oil, over chemical and nuclear weapons. And as Alan Pizzi reports from Baghdad, there is also a basic philosophical and cultural clash.
This is the Iraqi version of MTV, music videos praising Saddam Hussein as leader of the Arab world. A different one plays every night after the news. And if that seems strange, it's because Iraq is, in many ways, a strange place. Posters of the president are the country's leading art form. Iraq may be the only place in the world where there's a permanent peace camp. But then, this may be the only place in the world that needs one. Iraq has been at war since a year after Saddam Hussein took over in 1979. Under his regime, the weak and the vulnerable aren't protected, they're exploited. Customs men openly robbed Vietnamese who came here on contract to help build Iraqi dams and hospitals. The Iraqis seemed confused and even hurt when they received no thanks for letting foreign hostages go, even though they conceded that taking hostages was a serious breach of Arab hospitality. So desperate is the desire for international praise that foreign journalists were all but forced to attend a press conference by a chain-smoking doctor who claimed he had found a cure for cancer by experimenting on pigeons. When President Saddam Hussein appears on the news, often the only sound is music, classical music that seems to bear no relation to the event being reported. But then, the only thing that counts here is what Saddam wants anyway, which may be why the Iraqis have such a distorted view of the West and why the West finds them strange. Two different worlds that are never quite in tune, none of which bodes well for the chances of settling the Gulf crisis. Alan Pizzi, CBS News, Baghdad.
This is the CBS Morning News for Thursday, the 20th of December.